Hello and welcome along. It's going to be day 2 of Cheltenham, and Champ.ie brought to you in association with our sponsors, of course, Gorham Park Racecourse, Syndicates.Racing, KCLR Radio, and our betting partner, Boyle Sports. Well, firstly, before we kick off looking and hoping to find you some winners for day 2, a big congratulations to our winner yesterday, Darren Delaney. You're on your way to the Boyle Sports Irish Grand National on Easter Monday at Fairyhouse. And of course, you picked out Corbett's Cross and Lossiemouth as your 2 winners. Today, we want you all out there listening to the show to put in your selections for all 7 races. And once again, the person who will find 2 or more winners will be announcing that winner on tomorrow's show. Barry, great day on day 1 at Cheltenham. And the Willie Mullins train marches on, very, very much picking up the pace towards that 100th winner at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely break the century, David. The question is which horse will actually do that, and there's a very, very, very strong chance that'll happen today, and plenty of course, short ones for Willie. But we're going to find some value for the punters, hopefully listening to the show. The without markets, obviously, some each-way bets, and maybe some value in the handicaps as well. But in terms of Willie Mullins, obviously, Paul Townend winning his first champion hurdle yesterday aboard Stapeman. And what about Gaelic Warrior's performance in the Arkle? I mean, personally, I couldn't have seen that coming off the back of his Leopardstown run, and obviously going left-handed. I was one of the doubters, David, but he proved me wrong. And yeah, look, Willie Mullins. And what about Emmett? Obviously, in the National Hunt Chase, hindsight is a great thing, David, but some would say maybe it was staring us in the face. He absolutely bolted up, and on that evidence, I mean, does he come into the Gold Cup picture next year? It'll be very, very interesting indeed. But today, obviously, Ballyburn in race 1. Look, kicking off with race 1, David. Look, to me, it looks a model each-way race in particular. I'm just looking at Il Atlantique, and interesting listen to Willie Mullins' comments just in his Sporting Life column about potentially changing tactics with this horse. I think Ballyburn, on his best form, look, he looks to stand out, and he's going to be banker material for many. He's a class horse for sure. But I think 13-8 in the without market, Il Atlantique, I think he'll be ridden to place. And look, it looks a model each-way race for me as well, because with the insurance, even with Boyle Sports, money back is second to the SP favourite. They have the 8 runners. So it's a bit of I suppose it's a model each-way race, shall we say politely, David. He's a strong traveller, he's a very, very good jumper, Il Atlantique. People have thrown stones at him maybe in the finish in the past, but he'll be ridden to place, as I said. And the going, obviously, be it with heavy in the description, he's one of only 2 runners in the lineup that have won on heavy ground. So, look, the Lawlers always points to the Ballamore as well, David, or to the Gallagher as it's called now. You know, 2 of the last 5 Gallagher winners have come via the Lawlers in Ace race. So I think that's interesting, and different tactics could be key, and we could see a better Il Atlantique. Ballyburn the one to beat, but maybe hold fire on the multiples. I'd be more keen on Factifine and El Fabiola to complete my banker treble for the week.
Right, let's move on to the second race, because Willie's got a big chance here as well. Factifile at the top of the market in the JP McManus Silks. Barry, I know you really, really like this horse. You've liked him all season. Are you going to side with him in the Brown Advisory at 210?
Well, he's decent Cheltenham form as well. He was second in the bumper last year. Obviously, the Florida Pearl route, skipped a novice hurdling campaign. 100% going to stick with him. I think he's very progressive over fences. I love how intelligent he is. He's a big set of lugs on him. You can see he gets in. You know, obviously, he can pop a fence. He can ping one. We saw it the second last at Leopardstown. You know, how quick he can be over a fence last time out. And obviously put Gaelic Warrior to the sword. He made mincemeat of the Arkle winner, didn't he? In the early stages of the race at Leopardstown. And, you know, people will say, you know, Gaelic Warrior wasn't his best, but to me, I thought that was a serious performance, certainly on the clock as well. And I thought the further he was going, the better he looked. I think stepping up and trip is the right thing to do on the old course. You know, he was second on the old course last year in the bumper. And to me, David, he looks the Gold Cup winner, 20-25 in waiting. I think, 16-1. I think about the related double. I'll be getting on that now to win today and to go on and be the Gold Cup champion maybe in 2025 for a bit of interest. But look, at 5-6, I think he's cracking value as odds-on favourites go. I think this horse could go off close to 1-2. I don't see stay away Faye. Look, I thought an interesting stat, excuse me, in relation to the Brown Advisory. Only one of the last 30 winners at the Brown Advisory started their chasing career off over 3 miles. Likes to stay away Faye at Exeter. You know, I just wonder, would he lack that tactical pace? Won the Bartlett last year. That was on the new course. For me, I think Factifine is a different type of animal here. I think that he's facing today. Factifine will win.
He will win in the betting without market. Where do we go? Is it as simple as going with Stay Away Faye? Because we saw Henry de Bromit's horses running really well on day one. Could Monty's Star have a chance under Rachel Blackmore in that betting without market?
I think Monty's Star is a terrible price. He disappointed at the course last year. I think, he's the big, I suppose, hype horse in that race in particular. I thought American Mike, if he was supplemented for the race, if he put his best foot forward, there seems to be plenty of pace in the race. He could creep away. It's a pretty quick turnaround from Navan, but on his best day, he was second in the bumper on the old course in the past. If he puts his best foot forward, he is a very good horse. And I mean, we were both on duty the day that he bet Factifile earlier in the season, although you probably couldn't see a rib on Factifile.
Well, it's going to be an intriguing race, but it's hard to look away from Factify in that one. Right, the Coral Cup, that gives us plenty of opportunity to get stuck into some extra place value with Boyle Sports this afternoon. We've got 5 places on offer in that Coral Cup, which is an intriguing race. But once again, Willie Mullins has got such a strong hand with Sam Majest here, who has got a mark of 140, Barry. That doesn't look all that harsh for the way it won at Limerick. Beat the Hurdle winner Noble Yates at Limerick in December. And as I've mentioned, that mark of 140 doesn't look all that bad for this Coral Cup in the JP Silks.
Of all the McManus handicap runners this week, I think this one probably it's up there with the ones that make most appeal to me, David, because obviously the Coral Cup, a very tricky race, but he looks very well treated off 140. I mean, no tax from the British handicapper. And look, obviously it was a small field down in Limerick, but I thought he jumped well, he travelled well, and he's put Noble Yates away, and he's rated 152, and he's a player, for the Stayers Hurdle on Thursday. So I thought that was really a good performance on deep ground. So the ground is not going to be an issue to him. He's lightly raced. The only worry would be, I suppose it's a big handicap with plenty of runners in there, and what's his experience like in those type of circumstances. So you could say the same about plenty of the unexposed novices coming into the race, or lightly raced individuals. But Sam Majest at 5-1, I thought he'd go off favourite. Now I couldn't be having the built by Ballymore. I know Martin Brazel was second in the race 2 years running with Epic Song and Fast or Slow, and the ground has come right for Built by Ballymore, but I think he's plenty short at this point for the race itself. And I'd be more keen on Sam Majest personally. And just looking at one of the big price, David, it's usually a race you can find. I'm going to play 2 darts here. Sam Majest for win purposes here, and probably the most likely winner for me. But one of the big price, 4 of the last 6 winners were 20-1 or bigger. So you can find one in the Coral Cup. And the one I like is an interesting one. Each way, 25-1. Guard Your Dreams for the Twiston Davis team. We mentioned, obviously, we've all been caught. Quite liked him to run a good race yesterday. Maybe slightly disappointed. But he still ran his race, and he still finished his race. Matata ran a big race in the Arkle as well for the Twiston Davis team. Guard Your Dreams is one of just 3 course winners in the field, and he's £10 lower than his last winning mark, and he's proven on this type of ground. Thought the interesting thing is they're stepping it up in trip to 2.5 miles. It's a grade 2 winner at Cheltenham in the international hurdle in the past. And look through the form lines of Lossiemouth. Look, obviously he was outclassed by Lossiemouth, but he wasn't disgraced. He was only beaten, of course, 12 lengths, and Lossiemouth was getting the mayor's allowance. Of course, that was in the international hurdle, and that was off the back of a layoff. So he's only had 16 runs in his career, David, this Guard Your Dreams. So I still think there could be a bit of upside. He's been dropped £3 since his last run. He looks very well handicapped. I think the trainer has alluded to that. And I think at 25-1 each way, you're getting extra places there. That's, I think, a bit of a price about him.
It is, and Heaven Help Us won the race for Paul Hennessy back in 2021. I wouldn't be surprised if Finest Evermore was to run a big race at 66-1 under Brian Hayes. And another one to keep a close eye on. Danny Mullins is never too far away in these races. And Willie Mullins has got a Lombron. That's another massive price at 66-1. If you wanted 2 just complete stabs in the dark, they'd be the 2. I'd be saying one of those 2. But Finest Evermore, 66-1 and Lombron. I think one of those 2 might be good enough to fill one of the 5 places. So an intriguing Coral.
I'd agree with John Lombron. I'd agree, again, similar to Sam Majest, might just lack that, I suppose, experience in big field handicaps. I would have been more keen for him if he'd have went for the Martin Pipe on the Friday. But look here, Lombron, if he puts his best foot forward, he could be well treated as well, David, for sure, off 133.
Absolutely. And then, Barry, let's move on, because the feature on day 2 is the Queen Mother Champion Chase, the Grade 1 contest. And all eyes on another of the Willie Mullins runners here, El Fabiola. Of course, he's been absolutely foot perfect all year. Paul Townend on board. Intriguing yesterday to listen to Paul Townend when he was interviewed after winning and lost. But, you know, he said it's a great place to ride Cheltenham when you're on horses like he had been riding yesterday. And he's got some chances as well today. Thoughts on the Queen Mother Champion Chase? Firstly, will El Fabiola win?
I think he'll take up the baton from an Ergamine for sure. And Willie Mullins go for 3 Queen Mother Champion Chases on the bounce. He could finish off the banker treble for me, and then be a nice little touch. So fingers crossed for El Fabiolo. Look, the only maybe slight chink in his armour is he tends to put in the odd mistake over his fences. But look at this, the way this horse goes through his races, the way he travels. I mean, he absolutely tanked, pulled Paul Townend's hands off down in the course of the Hilly Way in Cork in his first start of the season. He was brilliant in Cheltenham last year. I thought he actually improved from Leopardstown to Cheltenham last year, and I think he'll probably do the same again here. I just love the way he travels through his races, the way he covers the ground, and the way I suppose he puts his rivals to the sword in that, I suppose, third quarter of the race, similar to an Ergamine. I think an Ergamine's a better jumper. I think this horse is a huge engine. I don't think there's anything of the quality of an Ergamine in the race to take him on. And, you know, John Bunn, for me, he's on a recovery mission. Nicky, look at the stats on Nicky. 5 of his 6 runners yesterday were pulled up. Lucia ran a cracker in the Champion, but stable form. Going into yesterday maybe was a slight concern. But now it's definitely a concern. I think Nicky did allude to that, you know, in one of his interviews after the ChampionHurdle, when speaking about Lucia, you know, that's there's nothing coming to light. They all scope fine coming into Cheltenham, but it'd have to be a concern. They're not finishing out the races. And John Bunn, I suppose, take that out of the equation, was disappointing, I thought, at Cheltenham last time. Edward Stone in the without market, David, is the bet. He's 5-2. Thought he was brilliant last time out. He's obviously an Arkle winner. That was in the Game of Spirit last time, where there was a change of tactics. He absolutely pinged his fences, and I was very, very impressed with him. So 5-2, I think, can do without market. I'm not saying he's going to beat El Fabiolo. I don't think he will, but I think he's definitely the play in that without market.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Captain Guinness in the without market for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore. I think that's got an outstanding chance. Was last seen at Leopardstown on the 4th at the DRF behind El Fabiolo and Dino Blue, and I see no reason why Captain Guinness can't go very, very close to picking up that second spot this afternoon. But that's your
he'll be ridden to place, Captain Guinness.
He'll be ridden to place, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. So it'll be an interesting one. This looks quite interesting. Liberty Hunters at the top of the market, Barry. What do you like here? Where can we go for a bit of value?
Well, I've always liked Pat Doyle. I fancied him last year for the county. He let me down, and I suppose that might be the only slight negative about Pat Doyle coming into a race like this. Look, he's 10-1 for a master trainer, Gavin Cromwell. I caught up with Gavin at Goran for KCLR at the weekend, and you know, he said, you know, this horse schooled well in the cheek pieces and had a bit of a confidence booster at Fairyhouse in the beginners 2 starts ago after coming down at Leopardstown. I thought he shaped very well at Leopardstown and looked like he was going to go on and win over the Christmas period. And look, he's only got £3 tax from the British handicapper. He's rated the same over fences that he is over hurdles in Ireland, 139. So he's racing off 142 here, Pat Doyle. So I just think he loved the ground. I think this is his ground. He likes soft ground. Bit of heavy won't inconvenience him. He's a point-to-point winner. Beat Built by Ballymore in a bumper at Punchestown. I thought he was going to be a very smart novice hurdler last year, but he's definitely a chaser. He'd jump well, he'd stay well, and I just think those cheap pieces could bring out a little bit more improvement. And I think he can reverse form with Madara. He was second to Madara at Leopardstown last time out off the back of that, course, good effort behind Hunter's Yarn in the beginners at Fairyhouse. That was a confidence booster, as Gavin said. And I just think today he could be set up for a big run in the Grand Annual over the 2 miles on this type of ground. 10-1 each way. Pat Doyle for me, David.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Harper's Brook. I thought Ben Pauling's charge. I think it's a cracking each way price this morning at 14-1 with Keelan Woods on board, Barry. I like the way it won at Sandown last time and good to soft ground. And I think there might be just a little bit more improvement to come. That, of course, is in the penultimate race. The bumper, Barry, it's always an intriguing race, isn't it? And once again, Willie Mullins, he's holding the favourite early doors this morning in the race with Jasmine DeVoe, who runs in the Simon Monier and Isaac Swady colours. unbeaten, wins at Lock-and-More in a point-to-point, won it very, very nicely at Naas in a bumper, and is currently the 5-1 favourite. Gordon Elliott's runner, Romeo Coolio, who was, of course, sold for £420,000 at the Tattersalls Cheltenham sale in 2023. I thought the way he won the bumper at Fairyhouse was very, very impressive indeed. Keith Donoghue is on board this afternoon. Jack Kennedy takes them out on Jalan Dudaris and the Jigginstown House Curlers. And it is an intriguing runner, and plenty of chances and horses in here that you can make strong cases for.
Yeah, it's interesting because Patrick would have had his pick, obviously, of the Mullins contingent, and he's gone with Jasmine DeVoe, who's only had the one start course. And Patrick, well, he's only had the winner once in the last 11 years. So that's I thought that was an interesting little stat, because a lot of people following the Mullins runners would be looking to see what Patrick's riding every single season. And Willie has multiple darts once again here. But the one I sided with was actually the mare. Now, 2 of the last 7 winners were mares, and the horse is called Fleur au Fazil. It's number 21 on the race card. It's 2 from 2. And through the form lines of switch from Diesel, which had bet 2 lengths at Leopardstown in a grade 2 at the Dublin Racing Festival. I thought that brings in the form there with the, of course, the Gigginstown runner up the top of the market, Jalan Dudari. Now, she's done a lot wrong on both of her starts. The hood goes on today, but I think this horse might have a lot of ability. I mean, just listening to our reading, should I say, Willie Mullins' quotes in the Sporting Life column once again. This horse, not very flashy at home. She seems to save her best work for the track. Jodie Townend gets on well with her. She's rode to victory on 2 occasions. And it'd be nice to see Jodie maybe get the Cheltenham Festival bumper winner this season. And I think at odds of 12-1, she might be just going in a little bit under the radar. That's Fleur au Fazil. I was quite impressed with the way she shaped on both starts, but in particular last time, she really opened up at Leopardstown in that grade 2. She'll get the allowance, and thought through the form lines of switch from Diesel, who ran an absolute cracker behind, of course, the one we just mentioned, Jalan Dudari. I thought could be overpriced at 12-1. The other one to mention, of course, and I'm going to put up 2 in the race, David, is 6 Mile Bridge. I'm sure it'll be popular down in County Clare. Apparently scoped dirty after hacking up at Sandown for Ben Pauling when he was on the show with us. He gave it a very positive mention. I thought this horse won with any amount in hand last time, the son of Affinity. That was at Sandown on good to soft ground. Wouldn't say the ground will be an issue. Look, it was second in a point-to-point on soft ground to Trim Castle. That obviously went with a big reputation to Gordon Elliott. But I thought it showed plenty of pace at Sandown in that bumper to score. And obviously it was a sick horse when doing so. So 6 Mile Bridge, number 14, will be the second pick in the bumper. That's 16-1. I think that has plenty of ability. And Fleur au Fazil, Jodie Townend and Willie Mullins, the mare in the bumper, 12-1.
Yeah, 6 Mile Bridge for me, as well as an each-way selection, as well as Romeo Coolio for Gordon Elliott and Keith Donoghue in that final race.
Grangy and Patrick Mullins.
McGree had justified favouritism, but sharp object out in front, was ready for John McConnell and Alex Harvey.
Western victory, Silver Long. Never read the finishing order.
Right, well, day 2 of Cheltenham. My advice for today is put Ballyburn, Factifile, Samajest and El Fabiola in a 4-timer. And I do believe you won't be too far away at the end of those 4 races. For you, Barry?
Yeah, look, I think Factifile will win today, 5-6. I think there's still juice in that. I know it's a shade of odds on, but I just think that'll win. And yeah, guard your dreams at a big price, David. 25-1. You're getting plenty of extra places there each way in the Coral Cup. I think that horse could be very well handicapped indeed.
Well, all we've got to say right now is happy punting on day 2 of Cheltenham. We'll be back with you once again tomorrow. And don't forget to put your selections in below for all 7 races. And 2 winners or more will put you into the draw to win 2 tickets to the Boyle Sports Irish Grand National. From Barry and I, have a great second day at Cheltenham. All the best.